Hey Ron, Pat Mesiti here. And look, today I've got something really unique from my vault. Remember at the beginning of the Global Financial Rescue Formula, I said I was going to be doing something from the past, stuff that's going to take me in the future. Well, one of my favorite books that I've ever written was called Opportunity Knocks. And I've gone into my vault where I have actually recorded that. I read the entire book to my elite students at the time. And now I'm gifting that to all of you. Now, listen to the first two chapters. They are the rest of the book's pretty good too. But I want you to listen to the first two chapters because there's so many great nuggets of truth there. And I know this is going to be a great blessing to you. It will inspire you. It will change you. So my gift to you, please don't disregard it because it's a gift. Read it. You'll never learn from the book you don't read. You'll never learn from the mentor you don't have. And you'll never grow beyond the level of the opportunities that are afforded to you. So Opportunity Knocks, my audio book to you. Now stay in tune and stay in tune with us over the weekend. Super huge guest coming up this weekend. A guy that's helped me generate millions of dollars for myself and my students. And I'm bringing him live to you. Now remember to share, subscribe, and hey, if you haven't registered for this coming Sunday, you need to register because it's going to be a very, very powerful session with my VIP international guest. This is Pat Mesiti. You have a prosperous life.
Opportunity Knocks, Opening the Door to an Extraordinary Life by Pat Mesiti. Introduction. Grab opportunities and wring the success out of them. Why is it that some people recognize opportunities and others don't? It seems that successful people around us manage to grab opportunities out of thin air and wring success out of them. If you're one of those millions of people around the world who are waiting for an opportunity to take your life to another level, then this book is for you. This book will help you understand the elements of opportunity so that you can achieve the greatest potential from it. Opportunities come our way in various forms and sizes, and often they are disguised. Most opportunities are slippery little suckers, as Julia Roberts said in the movie Pretty Woman. We've all faced opportunities in the past, from choosing school subjects and career paths to life partners and business associates. In fact, opportunities are staring at you right now and will continue to challenge you into the future. No period of time in history holds a mortgage on opportunity. It exists in the past, present and future. And opportunity comes to us all. The 21st century will offer you many new opportunities. This new millennium, still in its infancy, holds a vast amount of opportunity for a wider audience than ever before. The early years of this century will determine whether you and your family progress and prosper, or whether you become less than effective and as a result, a non-achiever. If you fall into the latter category, you will surely fail to gain the prosperity you deserve and desire. This book deals with the opportunities that come our paths. How you handle those opportunities will determine your success or your failure. How you handle lost opportunities, for instance, may well be the key to your future. If you want to get the most out of opportunities that come your way, you must know what to do when you see one. In fact, you really need to know what an opportunity looks like. Quite often they come surprise packaged in the gift wrapping of something else. Opportunity knocks. Can you hear it? If you can't first hear it, you won't open it, and it will move on. I believe it was Milton Berle who once said, if opportunity doesn't knock, build a door. A door provides an opportunity to us that we may walk through into a new phase of life, a new environment, and a magnificent future. Many people approach doors timidly. Others walk right through them. People in the former group wait for an opportunity to knock, but they don't actually have a personal door to knock on. Very often these same people have instead built walls, preconceptions about what an opportunity looks like. For example, if a secretary refuses to take the opportunity to learn computer skills because she has always used a typewriter, her wall of resistance and preconception, because she's always done it that way before, will hold her back from many opportunities for future employment. However, to grasp the new opportunities that will come your way, you must create a new mindset within yourself and within the generation that will follow you. You must develop a willingness to take risks, to find new ways of putting your dreams into motion, and to challenging the 9-to-5 mentality that leaves us prisoners to debt. If you develop such a mindset where time becomes a friend rather than a foe, then you're heading down the path of success. Chapter 1. What does an opportunity look like? Napoleon Hill said, "The world is filled with unfortunate souls who didn't hear opportunities knock at the door because they were down at the convenience store buying lottery tickets." How often in life have we noticed someone else achieving great success, financial wealth, and a great lifestyle, and we've called it luck? How often have we faced opportunities to create something better for ourselves, but rejected the opportunity we were given, simply because it didn't look like an opportunity? In fact, opportunity often looks like a challenge. When someone else capitalizes and prospers on the opportunities that we passed over, we have the gall to call them lucky. Opportunities get handed to us, but it's up to us to make them a reality. They don't simply happen by themselves. More often than not, opportunities come disguised as problems. Chuck Swindoll has wisely observed, "We are all faced with a great series of opportunities, brilliantly disguised as impossible situations." How true that simple statement is. Opportunity rarely ever comes emblazoned with a flashing neon sign. I've heard it said that the bigger the opportunity, the faster it moves. Our attitude towards that fast-moving opportunity will determine whether we capitalize on it and make something happen, or whether we pass it by and let someone else take hold of it. When Decca Records knocked back the opportunities because they didn't like their sound, they failed to capitalize on the fast-moving opportunity that had come to them. These 4 Liverpool rockers swept the world, set attendance records, and are arguably the greatest rock and roll band of all time. And their songs have been indelibly imprinted on the minds and hearts of generations. Let's do a little exercise. Finish these musical lines and tell me if Decca was right or wrong. She loves you, I want to hold your, we all live, can't buy me, let it, hey. Get the picture? Yet Decca Records let it all slip through their fingers. The genius that bypassed the opportunity cost his company hundreds of millions of dollars. Now, with hindsight, we could say, how stupid, I would have grabbed that opportunity. Would you? It neither looked nor sounded like an opportunity, just 4 scruffy lads from the back streets of Liverpool with no hope and no obvious future, at least some. Consider Colonel Sanders. In fact, consider the 2060 knockbacks of his secret recipe for chicken. Finally, on the 2061st, someone took a shot at the moving target, opened the door and hit the chicken in the tail. Along with those scattered feathers came billions of dollars, as literally millions of chickens have laid down their lives to keep the Colonel's dream alive. Opportunities are not luck, they're taken. Opportunities almost always look irrelevant. They often look insignificant, small. Frequently, they look challenging. The giant oak tree grows from a tiny acorn. However, you first have to get an acorn. The potential of its greatness lies in that acorn. Consider an apple. You can count the apple seeds in that apple, but you cannot count the apples in the apple seed. The lesson, friends, is that the opportunity before you may not seem great right now, but in the future, it can become like a huge tree brimming with fruit. When I began our nationally recognised youth organisation called Youth Alive in the state of New South Wales, it didn't look like a great opportunity. It looked like a mess. What began as an insignificant handful of teenagers exploded to the point where more than 11,000 teenagers would gather together in one meeting. Youth Alive now sees venues filled all over Australia. That opportunity didn't look like anything. It didn't look like much. It certainly didn't look like what it does today. There were no leaders, very few resources and very little capital, no support and no finances. Today, it's a different story. Just recently, I had another opportunity to take over a drug recovery program, which, to put it mildly, was an absolute disaster. It definitely did not look like an opportunity. It looked like one massive headache. But it was in fact an opportunity, cleverly disguised as a complete mess. Today, the program is flourishing. Young adult men are being rehabilitated, the homeless are being housed, and people are supporting it financially with their time, skills, and resources. Why? Because they now see an opportunity, not an acorn, but an oak tree. Hundreds of young men have been through the program, and their nightmares have been replaced by dreams. If you take an opportunity when it's an acorn, people will brag about what a great tree grower you are. Famous US statesman, politician, jurist, and humanitarian James F. Burns said, "Too many people are thinking of security instead of opportunity." It's my experience that there are at least 6 key signs that will reveal that what you might have before you is an opportunity, not a problem. To recognize an opportunity, you will have to do the following. Number 1, see the end, not the beginning. Number 2, get an opportunist mindset. Number 3, avoid looking for an easy way. Number 4, be prepared for your day of opportunity because it's disguised today. 5, make the most of every circumstance. 6, grasp it with both hands, wholeheartedly and passionately. Let's see how these 6 vital signs of opportunity stack up in real life. See the end, not the beginning. Opportunities are based on chance and choice. When you get a chance, make the choice. In other words, when opportunity knocks, you must choose whether to let it come in. The ball is in your court. Dr. Maxwell Maltz, in The Search of Self-Respect, says, "You create opportunity. You develop the capacities for moving toward opportunities. You turn crisis into creative opportunities and defeats into success, and frustration into fulfillment." The first key then to recognizing opportunities is to believe that only you decide and what's an opportunity. How you respond to circumstances determines whether they become opportunities to advance for yourself, your career, and your lifestyle. But we must initiate and not procrastinate. When we see the potential in an opportunity, we must take it. We must have a sense of adventure rather than intimidation. Human nature tends to first react with intimidation rather than with adventure. Intimidation's primary role is to rob you of opportunity. However, if you perceive any challenge as an adventurous process in which you can learn and grow and thrive, then you will be in an advantageous mindset to turn obstacles into opportunities. Let me illustrate it for you. Someone may come to you with a brand new business opportunity. It requires time, effort, resource. In other words, there's an element of cost. What's your first response? Probably to get intimidated by the cost. Next, you find people around you who will confirm your worst fears. We can always find experts lacking experience who will reinforce our intimidations. Eventually, you will be turned against the very opportunity by which you might attain freedom, financial security, and many other benefits. This happens in many areas of life, such as marriage or raising children. People often say, "Be careful of the terrible twos." Others say, "How difficult it is to raise children in a negative environment." Or, "The teenage years are a nightmare full of rebellion and problems." And then they get married and leave home. Your kids never think of you, visit you, or they're too busy for mum and dad. Let me ask you, with this kind of mindset, at what point in life does raising children become fun? I have found that bringing up children is a challenge, but not a nightmare. Sure, at 2 years of age, crawling into cupboards, pulling out the pots and pans, it's really hard to believe that this kid's got latent opportunity. But wait a minute, maybe the kid's just developing his or her musical talent. As teenagers, your children will struggle with authority and independence, but you are bringing them up as an adult. It's an opportunity to mould, to teach, and to train. I've found that bringing up children is fantastic. There may be ups and downs, but that's a process of growth. It's an opportunity to invest into the future. Apart from speaking to the corporate sector and training and mobilising people, I oversee 2 of the most successful youth programs in the world. We regularly face difficult situations with teens. However, I don't see the problems. I see the incredible opportunity and the potential in these young lives. They are acorns that will grow into oaks. They can turn their tragedies into triumphs. Let me put it to you simply. Where you stand determines what you see. If you look for opportunity, you will find it in every situation. You determine what's an opportunity. Get an opportunist mindset. The second rule to recognizing an opportunity is your circumstance. With opportunity, it is impossible to conceive how through a systematic plan and the right attitude, you can benefit from your circumstances. Find the win in any situation and you have found an opportunity. In other words, if you determine the difference between opportunity and problem, then anything can have a win in it. Every cloud can have a silver lining. Opportunities come, and they may not be your preferred option, but the win is found in taking advantage of every situation to enhance your experience. Motivational writer O.S. Martin has said, "There is power lying latent everywhere, waiting for the observant eye to discover it." I recently read that in 1948, Gene Autry was looking for a Christmas song to match the success of his popular 1947 song, Here Comes Santa Claus. Apparently, Autry wanted to cut 2 records and needed 4 songs, but he only had 3. Around that time, a young New York songwriter sent him the lyrics and music for a song called Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer. Autry thought the song was silly, but his wife loved it. In the final recording session, he recorded the song. That simple song, which Autry almost discarded, went on to sell 2.5 million copies that year alone. Since then, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer has been recorded by over 400 artists in almost every language and has sold in excess of 100 million copies. That's what I call seeing the win, friends. He didn't see it, but his wife did. How many times does this happen to you every day? There's a story of Thomas Edison which his son tells, which illustrates this point. Edison's entire laboratory, experiments and research one day burst into flames. Charles, concerned for his father's well-being, immediately rushed to his side, worrying that his father would be in torment and grief for all his research, study and experiments that were totally gone. "Quick," said his father, "go and get your mother." Charles Edison wondered why he should do that. When he asked why, the old inventor said, "Tell her to hurry. She'll never see a fire this big ever again." But that's not the end of the story. The next day, as Edison walked through the ashes and rubble, he began to say with excitement, "Thank God, thank God. The world will never know all of my mistakes and failures. They are burnt and gone forever." Now that is seeing the win in every situation. Assuming you encounter a challenge on your way to fame as Edison did, and you face rejection, loss, an uphill climb, will you see the win in the cost? Or will you only see the loss? Every day, opportunities cry out to us, but like I said, it's often disguised. It's up to you to recognize it as an opportunity. Imagine for a moment that someone came to you and said that you have the potential to start your own business, that you could make money from it, and they'd show you how. What would go through your mind? You might count the cost, time, effort, hard work on top of your regular job, sacrifices, etc., etc. But you might also look for the win, extra income, friendships, and personal growth. Avoid looking for an easy way. The third key is to see in every circumstance the potential to fulfill your vision. Opportunity is always a gift that creates for us the chance to be above and not beneath. The head and not the tail, victorious and not defeated. But opportunities will not always be easy in our lives to handle. So don't look for the easy way with an opportunity. Go with the hard way. Too many people think of opportunity and they think it in terms of simply a drop in their lap. But opportunities are shaped and created by the way in which we approach them. You will never, and I repeat never, fulfill your life vision if you go it the easy way. You've got to dream big dreams for yourself and go the difficult route. American poet Robert Frost so aptly put it in his well-known poem, The Road Not Taken. He said, "Two roads diverged in a yellow wood, and sorry I could not travel both. And be one traveller, long I stood, and looked down one as far as I could, to where it bent in the undergrowth. Then took the other, as just as fair." The poem ends with, "Two roads diverged in a wood, and I took the one less travelled, and that has made all the difference." Don't go the road that all the punters are going, because you'll glean the same results as everybody else. Your opportunity is today. There's no shortage of opportunities in the world, only a shortage of opportunists. People who are ready with both hands to grab the opportunity that comes their way. I once heard a motivational speaker put it this way: while every day billions of people around the planet sit crying over their soup bowls, saying no good thing ever comes their way. Trillions of dollars of economic activity literally zap and zoom around the planet. If you want some of those dollars, the speaker said, all you have to do is stick your hand out and grab them. And he's right. Today's your day of opportunity. You've got to make the most of every circumstance. Joni Eareckson Tada was confined to a wheelchair through a tragic accident. In the midst of her pain and suffering, she began to develop the skill of painting using only brushes held in her teeth. Now each year she speaks to literally thousands of people, giving them hope in the midst of their pain, all because she sees opportunity as a gift through which we may become what we are destined to be. Successful people have a way of capitalizing on opportunities, to shape them, to form them into the gift that can benefit themselves and, of course, others. That's the beauty of opportunity. It's disguised as hardship, nuisance, pain. And so it often is, my friend, that opportunities, as we approach them from the right angle, becomes our means of success. Helen Keller, who was asked what could be worse than being blind, said this: being able to see but having no vision. Do you think that statement would be as powerful if she had have had sight? She sees the circumstance of her blindness as a gift to become a better person. Grasp your opportunities with both hands. Opportunities wait for no one. You've got to be diligent, circumspect, and eager. Grasp the opportunities that come your way. Make them your own and run with them. Opportunity is everywhere, but it's up to you to grab that opportunity when you see it. In this chapter, I've outlined 6 keys for identifying an opportunity. I hope I've convinced you that anything can be an opportunity. No circumstance in which you find yourself needs to be a problem. On the contrary, if responded to correctly, every situation has the power within it to change your future. The key is your attitude and your response. Whether you see a win in it and are prepared to do the hard yards. The key is to recognize the gift and the nature of opportunity. The key is to recognize the gift, that is the nature of opportunity, and to grab them. You have gifted opportunities in life, and it's up to you to choose to make them work for you. Now is the opportune time for anything. Things happen at opportune moments, not necessarily at convenient times. If you wait for the right time, the perfect setting, the right feeling, and when all the pieces are in place, you'll still be waiting this time next century. Opportunity will pass you by. Don't wait for the boat to dock. Make a splash by swimming out and meeting it. Chapter 2. Myths about opportunity. The Collins Australian Dictionary says this: opportunism is the practice of taking advantage of any opportunity to gain money or power for yourself. Now, when you first hear that quote, you could be tempted to see it in a negative light, that opportunism is somehow something devious, underhanded, sneaky, and to be viewed with suspicion. When I read the quote, I see opportunism and opportunity as a means to create a more meaningful, prosperous, and influential life for others and myself. There's nothing wrong with wanting to gain more money or power. These things in themselves are not good or bad. Power, money, influence, and success take on the characteristics of the people who have them. We should place opportunities and a sense of opportunism into the hands of good people with fair-minded intentions who desire to be a good influence, rather than allowing money, power, influence, wealth, and creativity to fall into the hands of the wrong people. There are 5 myths about opportunity I will outline in this chapter. These simple misunderstandings tempt us away from opportunities to create success for ourselves. By having and maintaining an adequate view of opportunities, we cheat ourselves and miss out on many good things that could be rightfully ours. The moral bankruptcy argument. You must be doing it wrong. The first of these myths about opportunity is this: that if you have to take up an opportunity, you are somehow perceived to be morally bankrupt. This is obviously not the case. How you use your opportunities, however, will reflect the type and quality of person you are. The failure to take opportunities is far more serious than actually taking them, provided, of course, that the opportunities we take are good, productive, and helpful. Not taking such opportunities may be seen as laziness or disinterest. It seems to me morally wrong for good people not to take opportunities for money, power, and influence. Dietrich Bonhoeffer wrote that for evil men to triumph, all good people have to do is nothing. In 415 BC, the Greek historian Thucydides wrote, "Wealth to us is not a mere material for vainglory, but an opportunity for achievement, and poverty we think it no disgrace to acknowledge, but a real degradation to make no effort to overcome." Let me say it to you in plain 21st century language. People find it easier to put down wealth and affluence instead of helping others to get out of circumstances such as poverty and hardship. It's easier to criticize the wealthy, but the rich, by being opportunists, create opportunities for themselves and others to overcome poverty. Bill Gates III, for example, is a very wealthy man. How many other people has he made wealthy or employed? And how many other businesses have benefited, derived opportunities from Microsoft products and its associated companies? Literally hundreds, if not thousands. Try imagining life today without Windows. Opportunity discriminates. This leads me to the second myth, that somehow opportunity is discriminating to whom it chooses to bless. We talk about these people as being lucky. I love the quote that says, "Success is a matter of luck, just ask any failure." In fact, opportunity is no respecter of persons. It respects principles, such as making the most of your circumstances. Samuel Goldwyn, the movie and media mogul, once said, "I think luck is the essence to recognize an opportunity and the ability to take advantage of it. Everyone has had, but everyone has also had opportunities. The man who can smile at his breaks and grab his chances, he gets on in life." Oprah Winfrey says it more succinctly, but with equal force, when she says, "Luck is a matter of preparation meeting opportunity." In our modern world, people are waiting for their boat to come in, the lottery ticket, the sure thing at the track, an inheritance through a hated old aunt who suddenly dies precipitously and mysteriously after you cooked a meal for her. But did you know that according to the best-selling book, The Millionaire Next Door, 80% of America's millionaires are first-generation rich. 2/3 are self-employed. They did not inherit their opportunities, they created them. They don't feel sorry for themselves for not being successful. They merely change their circumstances through positive action. Now, do you get the point? Opportunity is perpetual. The third myth about opportunity is this, that my opportunity will always be there. No opportunity is ever permanent. I catch planes on a weekly basis. Upon arrival at the airport, I'm issued with a boarding pass, which gives me the opportunity to catch my plane. The airline generally issues a boarding call. But if I fail to board, the airline usually gives both a final and then a personal boarding call. If the plane is due to leave at 10 a.m., but I don't board within 10 minutes or so of that time, the airline will generally release my seat to another passenger who's waiting there on standby. Not only will I miss my flight, but it will throw my entire day, my plans, and probably my life into absolute chaos. All because I thought I could board at my time and at my leisure. This is a huge mistake. You see, time and chance happen to us all. Make sure that when it's your time, you take your chance. Opportunities make themselves available to you, and if you don't take it, somebody else will. Now is the time to make the most of your opportunities, not next week or next year. Opportunities are never lost. An anonymous saying goes, "Opportunities are never lost. The other fellow takes the ones that you miss." Opportunities sit around for no one. They just keep moving on. Turning disadvantage to advantage. The fourth myth about opportunity is that today's great opportunity is hindered or robbed by yesterday's failures. In fact, today is a brand new day. Let me give you an example. One of my friends and renowned South African speaker, Andre Olivier, has written about Charles Steenmits, whom he calls an electrical genius. He, Steenmits, one of the founding fathers of the colossal General Electrics, was crippled from birth. His body was grotesque. He was so short in stature that he looked like a dwarf, and he was a hunchback. His mother died before he was 1 year old. His father was comparatively poor, but was determined that as far as possible, young Charles would have a thorough education. He could not play normal games like other boys did, so he decided to devote himself to science. His theme of life was, I will make discoveries that will help other people. When he migrated to the United States, he could not speak a word of English. His face was swollen from the cold he had endured on the ship, his sight defective, his dwarf stature and misshapen body, coupled with shabby dress, tempted port authorities to return him to Switzerland. Charles stayed. He got an opportunity to work a $12 a week job. The infant company that employed him, called General Electric, realised that they had a genius, an expert in the field of electricity. His career was marked by research and development that even to this day inspires many. When he died in 1923, they said, "This deformed hunchback had the mind of an angel and the soul of a seer." My friends, this story illustrates how failures, physical handicaps, emotional struggles, or whatever we think is a disadvantage, should stop us from grabbing opportunities and making a better tomorrow. From slavery to freedom. In his book, Will Daylight Come?, Robert Heffler tells the following moving story. There was a little boy playing out in the woods. He had been given a slingshot, but he could never hit the intended targets. As he was walking home, he swung his slingshot and accidentally killed his grandmother's duck. He was greatly disturbed, so he hid the duck. But then he noticed that his sister had seen everything. She remained silent. Later, their grandmother asked his sister to do the dishes, and his sister said, "Johnny wants to do the dishes." Then she whispered to Johnny, "Remember the duck." The next day, their grandfather asked them to go fishing, but grandmother said, "I need someone to help me with..." The boy's sister declared, "Oh, Johnny would love to do that." And again she whispered, "Remember the duck." Then she went fishing. After a week of torment, Johnny confessed to his grandmother, and she said, "I know, Johnny. I saw everything. I forgive you. I was just wondering how long you'd let your sister make you a slave to your past." The tendency of human nature is to enslave us to our past fears, failures and problems rather than allowing us to be freed and to launch us into new opportunities. Perhaps in the past we have suffered rejection, so getting involved in a new business venture that involves taking a bold step puts fear in our lives. I know many people in the business world, through fear and rejection, have carried those fears into their present and missed the opportunities that could have propelled them into an incredible future. The fifth myth about opportunity is that successful people replace skill and hard work with opportunism, when in fact the opposite is true. An old saying goes, "The harder I work, the luckier I get." There's a story told of an art lover who watched the great Picasso paint a picture in a matter of a few hours. The art lover commented how great it must be to be able to paint a painting and create something that is a masterpiece in just a short period of time. Picasso replied, "You weren't there to watch the 40 years of work that went into my art." Opportunism never replaces skill and diligence. I'm an avid fan of Italian soccer because I'm Italian. And I'm going to take this opportunity to tell you that Italian soccer is the best in the world. And everybody in Italy is an expert, especially from the sidelines. In the last World Cup of soccer, a young Australian Italian called Christian Vieri stormed onto the world stage by continuing scoring goals. One of my friends, an Italian of course, said to me, "Vieri's not a great player. He's just an opportunist." Now that's a ridiculous thing to say. Now let me get this straight. The whole idea of the game of soccer is to kick the ball past the defence while overcoming tackles, avoiding the offside trap and running at unbelievable speed in front of 100,000 people and millions watching on TV, followed by a lynch mob in the Italian sports media, finally putting the ball with pinpoint accuracy past the goalkeeper into your opponent's net. I thought this was the whole idea, to score goals. Apparently, according to my friend, it isn't. If Christian Vieri listened to the bantering of people such as my friend, when the ball is passed to him and he has an opportunity to score, he would ask himself, "What will people think?" and graciously return the ball to the opposition, then apologise for the inconvenience of making them run to him to get the ball. Why? He doesn't want to be seen as an opportunist. Now let's be serious. The whole idea is to seize your opportunity and make it count. You can apply these principles to sports, business, and life. As we have opportunity to do good, we've got to do it. Opportunities come and will continue to come if we make the most of them. If Christian Vieri got the ball and did not score, or at least attempt to score, he wouldn't last in the game. That is why many people in the game of life fail to win. They don't take advantage of their opportunities. We all know that marriage, like all relationships, has its struggles. However, when opportunity arises to romance, to give a gift, to give a word of encouragement to your spouse or your partner, if you have the idea that your partner or spouse will perceive you as an opportunist, you'll never build an open and caring relationship. Here's the difference between those who are accused of being opportunistic and the spectators who wait for it all to happen. The opportunist takes the opportunity, makes the most of the opportunity, and gets given more opportunities later, while the spectator criticizes from the lounge chair. All these myths will rob you of opportunity. Take the initiative. It's not a matter of luck. Remaining crippled by your past or having fear of being perceived as an opportunist will make you unproductive and unsuccessful. But avoid the myths. Take the initiative, capitalize on your opportunities, and it will bring you success. In the words of Dave Thomas, founder of Wendy's, a little initiative will improve your luck 9 days out of 10. Chapter 3. The Elements of Opportunity. Thomas Jones said this: "Many do with opportunities as children do at the seashore. They fill their little hands with sand and then let the grains fall through one by one until they're all gone." Rita Coolidge has rightly said, "Too often opportunity knocks, but by the time you push back the chain, push back the bolt, unhook the 2 locks and shut off the burglar alarm, it's too late." The motto is, be like the Boy Scouts, be prepared. Being prepared is a key factor to making the most of opportunities. It's easy to forget how important preparation really is. Here, the visionary boat builder known to us as Noah should be our guide. Just remember that when Noah built the ark, it wasn't raining. In fact, he was prepared, in spite of not even knowing what rain is. Preparation will help you be ready for opportunities when it comes. Rather than being preoccupied by preconceptions of what opportunity is or isn't, you will be productive. When I received my first opportunity to speak some 20 years ago, I was prepared. I didn't have time to think, this is not really what I'm looking for, simply because it wasn't large enough or as big as I envisioned my future to be. I just took the opportunity. Most recently, I spoke to an audience of 60,000 people in the United States. As a matter of fact, I was so good, I bought my own CDs and tapes. Now, this just didn't happen overnight. I've been preparing for today's opportunities all my life. Yesterday, I was making myself ready for today. In this chapter, we will consider the elements or the key factors that will help us make the most of opportunities that knock on our doors. These factors are not exhaustive, though you'll find that many are essential to making the most of your opportunities. Making the most of your time. The first element to grasping opportunities is making the most of time. Champion boxer Muhammad Ali said this: "I hated every minute of the training, but I said don't quit. Suffer now and live the rest of your life as a champion." Many people want instant fulfillment or gratification. Instant gratification generally lasts as long as a gratifying event. It is short term. Rare is the overnight success, the instant millions, because as quickly as they come, they go. I was working in my garden recently and one of my interns was working with me. As we stopped for a brief drink, he looked at me and as I held my shovel in my hand, he looked into my eyes and he said, "Pat, when does this serving thing stop? When can I do what you do?" Now I'm sure if I had decapitated him that day, God in heaven would have quickly forgiven me. He seemed to think that everything came instantly, that we graduate from the basics. Too often we look at successful people and say, that's what I want to be. That's what I want to achieve. We see the snapshot of the now. But what we should see is the movie of the whole life. Their success took time. It takes time to grow, time to prepare, time to learn. It takes time to reach the next stage and to win the race. We must remember that success is a marathon, not a sprint. Time tests and proves what we are already. Over time, the cream always rises to the top. Time affects different things in different ways. For instance, time affects milk one way and wine another. The common element is time, but the reaction is determined by the makeup of the product. The second element is focus. What is focus? If you consider many of history's great people, you will find that they were known for what they focused on. In other words, what you give your attention to. Isn't it amazing that some people start life with just a few pennies in their bank and go on to build incredible wealth because they gave it attention? Other people can start out with huge amounts of money, perhaps an inheritance, yet over time, because they don't give it attention, they squander their wealth. When you pay attention to things, you will progress. Priorities don't happen by chance, but by choice. Similarly, what you pay attention to becomes your priority. We choose our priorities. We have to choose each day to pursue our opportunities. In 1999, I had the privilege of being at an event as a speaker with Australia's legendary performer, John Farnham. What energy and passion he personified. It was obvious he had committed himself to making a gift. He had made singing a priority in his life, and his gift was blossoming. Like John's singing, whatever you make a priority will grow. You can tell your priorities by what time you spend, what effort you make, what thoughts you have, what passion you execute on the things that are important in your life. While what you pay attention to grows, likewise what you ignore dies. In working with people with addictions, I've discovered that the more someone thinks about a problem or addiction, the more prone they are to growing it. We should be diligent to pay no attention to the things in our lives that we would rather die than continue to grow. We must learn to focus on what we can influence. All of us can influence family, friends, and society. Generally, that influence will come out of our strengths. Most people try to focus on areas of their lives where they have very little strength or ability. The result is that they don't become an influence. Not only do they lack influence, they often fail and therefore lose focus. Many will remember Michael Jordan's attempt to move into baseball. While Michael is a phenomenal basketball player, nobody wanted to be like Mike when it came to baseball. Why? It was his wrong focus. When you focus, when all your energies come together at a focal point, great things happen. Your focused efforts will bring productivity. Let me illustrate. Mother Teresa was a great humanitarian, but she didn't work with every single needy person. She focused on one core group of people in Calcutta. Out of that focal point, she became an influence on the planet. Mother Teresa could only be in one place at one time. Yet when she focused on something, she was able to influence many people in many places at any time. But the key was focus. Another example is Bill Gates III of Microsoft. He focused on software, not making computers, and his company has become the driving force in the new economy. One dictionary defines focus as the ability to adjust one's eyes so that the image is very clear. Focus helps you adjust your thinking and your strengths so something not only becomes clear but achievable in your life. You'll only succeed with the opportunities that you focus on. You're only able to hit the target you truly aim at. You can only be an influence in the area that you focus on. Why is Tiger Woods so great at what he does? The answer: focus. Why are people successful in many fields of life and influential in those very areas? Because they focus. Focus gives you an advantage of becoming skilled and an expert at what you do. The third element is the principle of the extra mile. Success, wealth, influence are never built on average. They are always built on going the extra mile. If you only do what you've always done, you'll always get what you've always had. So if you want to make the most of opportunity, you've got to go the extra mile. Not just do what everybody or somebody else is doing. Someone once commented that all the faults in human beings, the one we excuse the most easily is idleness. Idleness won't bring about achievement, the extra mile will. Procrastination assassinates opportunity. What are some of the enemies of the extra mile? Idleness and procrastination. Constantly putting off something rather than going the extra mile to achieve will assassinate dreams, hopes, vision, wealth, even well-being. For example, if someone gave you the opportunity to join a gym, all expenses paid, with your own personal trainer, would you do as most people would, declare what a great opportunity it was, and then put off starting until tomorrow? Would you go the extra mile, get up early, get yourself dressed, brave the cold, and put in the hard yards? The opportunity is there. The trainer's there. The gym's there. It's all there. The only thing stopping taking full advantage of the opportunity is procrastination. Idleness kills opportunity. Rather than sit back, go the extra mile and take the opportunity. Laziness is another enemy of the extra mile. The lazy are always wanting to do something, when all they need to do is take the opportunities they have and go the extra mile. Laziness will always leave you wanting but never doing. One thing is certain, if you overcome laziness and go the extra mile, you'll be on your way to making the most of your opportunity. The extra mile, my friends, is not a cluttered highway. At times it can be a very lonely road, but its rewards far outweigh those of the cluttered highways of indifference, idleness, and procrastination. One of my favourite quotes from Winston Churchill is this one: "Continuous effort, or intelligence, is the key to unlocking your potential." It's not the have a shot at one thing once that gets you success. Can you imagine if you approach marriage like that? You can't build a great marriage out of one conversation, one gift. It's a continuous effort. It's a continual form of communication. Marriages need constant monitoring, maintaining, going the extra mile, persevering, especially through hardships. The strength of marriage is formed in times of perseverance and stickability, not when everything is going well. Consider the diamond. The diamond is ugly carbon made beautiful and priceless under pressure over time. Our character becomes equally priceless if we stick at things, especially the hard times. As Napoleon Hill said, effort only fully releases its reward after a person refuses to quit. Chapter 4. Never, never say die. H.W. Austin said, "Genius, a power that dazzles humans, is oft but perseverance in disguise." Humans tend to lose easily and win through effort and hard work. Most often when someone remarks, "I wish I had that opportunity," they really mean they missed the same opportunity. Missing out, however, doesn't mean the end. It can always become a new beginning. In 1996, Greg Norman, the great Australian golfer, known affectionately to people as the Great White Shark, was on target to win the US Open. It was a fear that despite of a winning career, he had not yet achieved. Norman was well ahead of other players. The media were certain of his pending victory, when inexplicably his game fell apart and the famous green jacket eluded him. The next day, the newspapers' headlines ran like this: "The shark can't swim. The shark sinks. The shark has lost his bite." At the end of it all, he said this: "I'm a winner. I lost today, but I'm not a loser in life. I've won some tournaments and I've lost some tournaments. Maybe something good is waiting to happen. This is just a test." Norman understood the loss of one opportunity didn't mean the loss of all opportunities. Opportunity abounds. So you lost an opportunity? Well, get ready, because there's another one not far away. Today, with the changes in the way people are doing business, opportunity abounds for everybody to be successful. We need to understand that those who make the most of opportunity have made the most of their opportunities. So it's not too late to begin to find an opportunity right now. They haven't procrastinated on opportunities. While successful people go after their opportunity, most others are waiting for their chance to come to them. Opportunities, in fact, are never lost. The other guy just gets the ones you miss. So if you don't want to continue to miss them, you've got to make some decisions and make them soon. Decide you'll not miss your next opportunity. Decide you'll prepare for your next opportunity. Decide You won't give up. Beverly Sills, the operatic soprano, beautifully summed up many people's fear of failure when she said, "You may be disappointed if you fail, but you're doomed if you don't try." Any person who chooses not to quit their dreams is already on the verge of breaking into new levels of opportunities and success. I love this brilliant quote by renowned anthropologist William Strong. "The only time you don't fail is the last time you try anything and it works." Most people give up an opportunity without even trying. They give in before they give themselves a chance to make the most of an opportunity. So what does it take to not be a quitter? A mind that's resolved. It's amazing what our minds can resolve to do and not to do. Developing a mindset that will not give up helps us get over the past and to effectively score more goals. Author and commentator George E. Woodbury said, "Defeat is not the worst of failures. Not to have tried is true failure." Here are 3 keys to help you resist the urge to quit. The first key is, if you've failed, keep trying. Before any great victory in the field of medicine or any healing of physical ailments, there is one common element. All have been preceded by failure. Scientists, doctors, and healers all have had failures before they had successes. But the other thing they have had in common is that they did not give up. Ed Frederick Douglass, US civil libertarian, put it this way: "Without a struggle, there can never be a progress." Oftentimes, the greater the struggle, the greater and sweeter the victory. What joy would there be if the journey to our achievements were just a luxury cruise? Absolutely none. Great joy comes out of great struggle. That feeling of that one gets after doing what others couldn't do and said it was impossible. When they failed and quit, you didn't give up. Endurance is one of the great qualities in non-quitters. Develop the ability, just like the rubber ball, to keep bouncing back. British social reformer Thomas Buxton said, "With ordinary talent and extraordinary perseverance, all things are attainable." All of us have made mistakes. The best way to learn is through other people's mistakes. The second way to learn is from your own mistakes. The third way people learn, and oftentimes the worst, is that people don't learn from either of those two. My friends, don't repeat the mistakes of other people. They missed their day of opportunity, but don't you miss yours. How many opportunities have you missed? Ask yourself, is there a possibility I can go back and take that opportunity? If there is, do it. Right now, someone probably has created an opportunity for you. Are you taking it or are you missing it? Don't repeat the same mistakes, missing opportunities and letting them go. Learn from those mistakes. It is a tragedy that some people don't take heed of their own or anyone else's mistakes. Learn from history not to miss an opportunity. Learn from your own experience not to give up. Take the opportunities you're given. Napoleon Hill sums it up like this: "The majority of men meet with failures because of their lack of persistence in creating new plans to take the place of those which fail." What opportunities, plans, businesses, income streams, strategies are in place now that weren't around 10 or 20 years ago? These plans have been created for you to take you on and into your future. These opportunities will create even more opportunities for you and your future. The next key to redeeming lost opportunities is to never lower your aim. Where do you want to be? What does your future look like? What's your dream? Now consider how you're going to get there. What mechanism, plan, strategy, or business do you currently have that's going to take you there? If you don't have one, you've got to find one. You're only going to be successful in achieving your aim if you've got the right mechanism, the right vehicle to get you where you want to go. Most people want to achieve wealth. I don't know anyone who doesn't want or need more money. But when it comes to earning income, most people do the same old, hoping they'll hit the jackpot or win millions of dollars on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. That, my friends, is a living fantasy. They've got a high aim, but they've got no method to get there. You've got to aim high and move strategically towards achieving that goal. Start positioning yourself in a situation that will create wealth for you. Learn to derive income that will help you build a strong asset base from which you can further increase your income. Seek out advice from people who achieve where and what you want to achieve. The best motivational speakers and business leaders in the world will always tell you, If you want to be successful, find someone you can model yourself on. You've got to aim high, higher than yourself. If we aim at average, that's all we'll ever get. So aim high, plan strategically, and act decisively. We need to train hard so that we can easily win. One of our great Australian Olympians is a young lady by the name of Melinda Gainsford-Taylor. Melinda is known to practice her running by trailing a car tyre behind her. Now let me ask you this question. Will she ever enter an Olympic race with a tyre attached to her body? The answer is no. But it means she builds strength in her running so that when she actually does run the race, she can win more easily. Friends, it's imperative to learn that we must train hard to achieve great things. Training hard makes winning look simple. Any top athlete, swimmer, football player, basketball player will train more than they actually play. Each week they invest hour upon hour of weight training, sprints, ball handling, and the various other things that they need to do to be at the top of their league. Why do they do this? Because if they train hard, they can win easy, and they won't quit before they win. The next key is to make up lost time. One of my observations of life is this. Most people get ahead during the times that others waste. Think how many people today are the fastest remote control changers on the planet, yet they cannot find a way out of their financial situations. All of us get 24 hours to achieve so much in a day. Some people can make more in 1 hour than most people make in a month. People might say, that's not fair. But it most definitely is fair. There are those who waste time and others who make the most of their time. Time is a gift. We all get to use it, and we all get to use it either wisely or foolishly. We get to use it effectively, efficiently, and opportunistically, or the reverse. It's what you do with the time you've got that determines the way you live. What you do with the opportunities you're given at the time they're given to you determine your success or your failure. As a speaker, I have noticed that some people are given 60 minutes on a subject and leave you wondering what on earth they just said. Others get 10 minutes and you're left thinking, what an incredible message, having sat on the edge of your seat for the entire time. I believe the difference is the amount of time people put in to that preparation. It's the same in life. The amount of time you've spent in working your opportunities, building your opportunities, researching, planning your opportunities will determine whether it's a success or a failure. The choice is yours. Chapter 5. Decide to be decisive. Gordon Graham has said, decision is a sharp knife that cuts clean and straight. Indecision is a dull one that hacks and tears and leaves ragged edges behind it. Some time ago, award-winning artist Gloria Estefan made a brilliant statement in one of her songs. We seal our fate by the choices we make. Choices determine destinies. Wishes don't determine our destiny in life. Wants never fulfill our dreams, and choices determine destiny and dreams. Every day we make choices. At times, we don't even realize that we're making them. Getting out of bed each day is a choice. For some, it's a major miracle. But for most of us, it's a choice we don't even consider. We just make it. Going to work is a choice. Getting married is a choice. Choices are an everyday part of life, but very few people pay attention to the choices they make. In fact, I would say that most people pay little or no attention to the choices they make and therefore don't live the lives they really want to live. Instead, they live the life that fate or lack of decision making will make for them. Rather than actively choosing what life they want, they let life just happen. What you choose ultimately determines your behavior, your financial situation, and your friends. To pursue opportunities in our lives and to maximize their potential, we must be people of decision. History is full of people having come face to face with opportunity, they made a decision. They made great decisions. Some, however, made poor decisions and have borne the consequences. Manuscripts of the movie and book Gone with the Wind were initially rejected. They were choices, bad ones at that. The Titanic is another famous example of a series of ridiculous and disastrous choices for which many paid the ultimate price. We're all accountable for our behaviour. By choosing our behaviour, we choose the consequences and circumstances of our lives. Accepting this law stops us from dodging, ducking, and weaving around questions about our life and the way it is. You may say, hey, I've been hurt. I've had a divorce. I've had business failures. I've been bankrupt. That may be the case. Are you responsible for some of those hurts? Maybe not. Are you accountable for your response? Absolutely. No matter what has happened to us, no matter what our circumstances, we must accept that our behavior and our behavioral decisions will determine the outcome of our lives. Whether we choose to believe it or not, we own our feelings. They're ours and no one else's. To choose to feel the way we do, to live in the situation we do, is our choice and ours alone. We need to learn to choose better so that we can live better and have better. Many people throw the blame for their problems onto something else, whether it's their spouse, a workmate, or a lack of opportunity. When we blame others, we abdicate the responsibility of change. What they are really actually doing is not defining the real problem. Someone said that a problem well defined is a problem half solved. If we don't diagnose correctly, we're not going to treat the problem correctly and things won't get better. Ask yourself, what is it in my life that I don't like? What do I need to do to change the situation? How did I get into this situation? Did I not trust? Did I fail to be clear about what I wanted? Did I fail to set goals? Did I choose the wrong time, the wrong friend, the missed opportunities? Didn't I ask the right questions? Did I procrastinate? We must face responsibilities for the choices that determine our opportunities and face them ourselves. There is an often quoted saying, you shall know the truth and the truth shall set you free. Facing up to truth is a choice. It's at the very core of human nature to blame others. Blame is a type of self-preservation, an escape mechanism. We don't want things to be our responsibility, so we rationalize our actions and go to any extreme to blame others. But such action doesn't solve anything. It's your life, it's your financial situations, your feeling, therefore you must make the decisions that will affect you and your future. Peter Drucker, one of the 20th century's most progressive business thinkers, says this: once the facts are clear, the decisions jump at you. I remember a time when I lost my car keys. Every husband knows that when you've lost the car keys, your wife has them. We searched up and down the house. We looked everywhere. And then it suddenly hit me. The reason I wasn't finding the keys is because they were not in the house. I had left the keys in the ignition of my car. I was looking for the answer in the wrong place. I was looking to point blame, blaming the kids, blaming the wife, blaming the keys. But the issue is they were in the wrong place. You make the choices, you say the words, you settle too easily, you quit, you talk yourself down, you sell out your dreams, you choose your job, you let people treat you the way they do, you feel rejected, you trust the unworthy, you choose how you feel and how you react and how you deal with things. US editor and novelist E.W. Howe says this: people storm imaginary Alps and die in the foothills cursing difficulties that do not exist. When we point blame, we are expending the energy we could be applying to defining and overcoming the real problem. We are more responsible for our decisions than we think. People want a successful future, but what do? They want a great marriage, but what do? They watch TV, soap operas, and waste their time. Unfortunately, this behavior can become addictive, automatic, and non-productive. We've got to pay attention to the things we want to address in our lives and make them better by being decisive. Problems won't go away. Financial situations won't go away. They don't get better with time unless we make a decision to do something. The famous explorer David Livingstone once said, "I am prepared to go anywhere provided it be forward." Make that decision to go forward and create the future you want. I believe the difference between winners and losers in life is that winners take action and make the decisions that losers don't want to take and don't want to make. Like an athlete, we need to review our life's performance in light of results. When we do this, we don't accept excuses. There is no reason not to reach your goals. Nothing in our life will change unless we begin to do something different. If you want to get something you've never had, you've got to do something you've never done before. Doing the same old thing will never give you any different results. Someone wisely said, the measure of success is not whether you have enough problems to deal with, but whether it's the same problem you had last year. If you're struggling with the same problems, obstacles, financial situations, habits as those you faced 10, 5, or a year ago, then you've not made a decision to break out of them and get on with life's opportunities. It's a mistake to assume that life will get better when no decision has been made towards betterment. I believe the best way to predict, influence, and live in the future we want is to make a decision to create it. Gandhi said we must become the change we seek in the world, and that takes a decision. You can be brought up with a silver spoon in your mouth, or as in my case, brought up with a wooden spoon. It's irrelevant. What matters are the choices you make to take hold of your opportunities. Those choices that come your way. Will you grasp them? Will you use them as a mechanism and as a springboard to create for yourself a great future? An environment of opportunity surrounds our lives, and it's everywhere. Some people make a decision to act on it, while others make a decision to leave it. A great example of one of the 20th century's greatest sporting heroes is Michael Jordan. When Jordan soars through the air to slam dunk a basketball, it seems like time stands still. Many people have referred to his ability as magic. Kids want to be like Mike all over the world. At the peak of his career, Michael had many opportunities before him. Multi-million-dollar contracts, advertising agencies wanted to secure his endorsements. But Michael's life wasn't always filled with opportunity. In fact, he was dropped from his high school basketball team. Gloria Estefan can move together with a band. She can have an audience standing on their feet, clapping, dancing, simply by singing a few notes. It can all seem as if these people just had success, or that they just got a lucky break. Maybe they were at the right place at the right time. You can have all these factors. You can be at the right place at the right time. You can get a great break. You can receive an open door of opportunity. But here's what separates the Gloria Estefans, the Michael Jordans, and other successful people in our world. They make a decision to act on the opportunities they're given and choose not to live in their past failures or fears. They decide to live with their childhood dreams. Faced with adversity, they choose not to quit on their dreams. As I've told you, Michael Jordan was cut from his basketball team and had to become the team manager in order to keep practicing with the rest of the players. He said of those days, "If there was a most likely to succeed, I was the least." Gloria Estefan had her back broken in a tragic accident at the height of her career and underwent intensive physical therapy to return to the stage. It is always too early to give up on your dreams. Imagine if Neil Armstrong had given up on his childhood dream to do something great in aviation. Opportunity lies inside of us from our earliest days. As a young girl, Barbara Streisand could think of little else than becoming a professional entertainer. Andrew Lloyd Webber, famous for the stage productions like Phantom of the Opera and Evita, spent hours as a child constructing elaborate sets for the puppet shows with which he entertained the family. It's always too early to decide to quit on your opportunities. Can I encourage you? Don't quit. Make a decision and stick to it. Chapter 6. Don't fear it, face it. Dr. Martin Lloyd-Jones said this: "The men who try to do something and fail are infinitely better than those who try to do nothing and succeed." Franklin D. Roosevelt was President of the United States even though he had been crippled by polio. Artist Henry Matisse created some of his greatest work when aged, bedridden and nearly blind. Patti Catalano, one of history's top women marathon runners, overcame the self-destructive habits of overeating and chain smoking to become a world-class athlete. Thomas Edison's father called him a dunce, and his headmaster told him he'd never make a success out of anything. Henry Ford barely made it through high school. The father of the Polaroid camera, Edwin Land, after failing to develop instant movies, turned his efforts to easy photography. He described the challenge before him in this way: trying to use an impossible chemistry in a non-existent technology to make an unmanufacturable product for which there was no discernible demand. That, in his opinion, created the optimum working conditions for a creative mind. While most of us have used his invention, the result of his perseverance, too many of us still live under the power of obstacles rather than the limitlessness of opportunity. What are some of the obstacles that people are afraid of? Let's have a look at a list of people and see if you can reflect and if you fit into their company. I lack education. Henry Ford. I have a family history of failure. Abraham Lincoln. I have a physical disability. Helen Keller. I was abused as a child. Oprah Winfrey. I have a criminal history. Nelson Mandela. Nobody understands my dream. Walt Disney. I'm too old. Winston Churchill. I'm too young. Nadia Comaneci, age 14, achieved the gymnastics perfect 10 at the Montreal Olympics. I have an illness. Lance Armstrong. The timing's not right. In 1856, Antonio Meucci set up the world's first phone line, but he never marketed his idea. A few years later, Johann Philipp Reis made a device he dubbed a telephone. Almost 20 years later, Alexander Graham Bell created the modern phone, filed his patent papers, and reaped the glory. I've been rejected in the past. Colonel Sanders, Abraham Lincoln. I'm not a good communicator. Moses. Think about this. All of these fears and excuses, whether imagined or real, are used by people to dismiss or forsake opportunities. Yet it's those very things that catapult you into greatness. Fear is a terrible thing. One of my friends says this. He says that we need to take some advice from binoculars. Two of the important points that my friend makes is this, that when we fear, we cripple our destiny. Yet fear is real to the person who is experiencing it. For example, I'm not afraid of cockroaches, but my wife Andrea is, and my daughters also. Women amaze me. They can pour hot wax on themselves and rip hair like you wouldn't believe, but are terrified by a tiny cockroach. My attitude is, you're so big, it's so little. Deal with it. What terrifies them means nothing to me, but their fear of cockroaches is very real to them. We can all face our fears by changing our view of the thing that concerns us. We need to see with a new pair of binoculars. When you have a set of binoculars, you look at them through the small holes, and everything is magnified. We need to look at our fears through the big lens. That way everything else gets small and you get big. How you view your fear and how you view yourself are important. Change your perception so that you can face your fear. What are those fears? Most people are afraid of fears like rejection. They fear it more than anything else. They fear it more than they do missing their opportunity. They fear that an opportunity may cause them to lose friends, prestige, and association. Isn't it strange how success can bring you great friends, but can also cause you terrible rejection? I remember when I was a kid, we would play in the school grounds, and always the biggest, more macho guys were picked on the team before I was. You remember those guys, the type who had muscles on their fingernails? We'd line up and I'd say, look at me, pick me, pick me. And they'd go through this procedure, picking players for their team. Finally, there were two people left, me and the nerd. And the nerd would get picked first. I mean, you talk about rejection. Rejection starts when we're kids and into our adult life. You see, we all crave acceptance, and unfortunately, most people would rather be liked than respected. People like other people to be average. People like those who don't rise to the top. People like other people to be average. The fear of rejection keeps us in average. We need to be the kind of people that rise above it. The fear of rejection causes people to bypass opportunities because they don't really understand who they are. There is a story told of some men who had been prisoners of war in a Nazi concentration camp. At the end of the war, these poor specimens of inhuman suffering had lost their memories. They couldn't remember their names or to whom they belonged. So it was decided to take these men on a tour throughout Europe. Their photographs were posted up, and if anyone recognised them, they were to come and collect them from the various viewing halls. On one such day, the hall was packed. People came to collect their sons and fathers, uncles, barely recognising them because of the injustice they'd suffered. One young man stepped up to the mic and said these words, Does anybody know who I am? Can anybody tell me to whom I belong? That man said what most people think and feel. We desire to belong. There is nothing wrong with that. But when the craving to belong overcomes your desire to fulfill your dream and opportunity, when the fear of rejection is greater than the power of opportunity, you've got a problem. The tragic equation goes like this. Self-worth equals performance plus other people's opinions. Instead, we need to overcome the fear of rejection and grab hold of opportunities by adopting this formula. Self-worth equals resolving my identity plus choosing to stand plus unfurling my dreams plus creating a new reality. Let's look at some of the ingredients in the formula of self-worth. You've got to resolve your identity. Many of us have been asked the question, who are you? Notice, we're not asked what do we do or what's your function, but who are you? You're successful. You're an achiever. You're a dreamer. You've just defined your identity. Don't define yourself merely by what you do. Arnold Schwarzenegger is a great example of resolute self-affirmation. He says this, the mind is the limit. As long as the mind can envisage the fact that you can do something, you can really do it. As long as you really believe it 100%. It's all mind over matter. He says, all I know is that the first step is to create the vision. Because when you see the vision, the beautiful vision, that creates the want power. For example, he says, my wanting to be Mr. Universe came about because I saw myself so clearly being up there on stage and winning. Choose to stand. You've got to choose to stand for something, not blend with everything. I find it amazing that people want to be different, yet they're all the same. I remember a few years ago speaking to 1,200 students, and the front row of these girls was all dressed like Madonna. And I said, why are you all dressed like Madonna? And they said, because we want to be different. Yet, they were all dressed the same. In our world, we're forced to conform in this age of political correctness. We're afraid to define things for what they really are or what they could be. Consider for a moment the words we use to define certain things. If you're short, you're vertically challenged. Gingerbread men are now called gingerbread people. If you have a bad temper, you're anger enhanced. If you're a drug addict, you're called chemically inconvenienced. If you're lazy, you're motivationally dispossessed. But here's my favorite. If you're a thief, you are now called a non-traditional shopper. Can you imagine going to court and being charged for non-traditional shopping to support your chemical inconvenience because you are motivationally dispossessed to the degree you could do nothing with your life? Yet people live this way because of the fear of rejection and they miss out on opportunities. Herbert Bayer Swope, New York World editor and politician, said it best, I can't give you the formula for success, but I can give you the formula for failure, and that is trying to please everybody. You've got to unfurl your dreams. We hide our dreams. We love them, but we're embarrassed by them. Maybe we feel we're not worthy of the dream. The old fear, who do you think you are? So when an opportunity comes to us, we knock it back. Our lives will never be the same. It's a new day and a new century. The key is to enter this century with a brand new way of getting things done. I'm reminded of the movie Truman. It's a story of a young man living in a for him by the egotistical media mogul Christos. Truman lives in a fake world of actors, each playing their part. His wife, family, friends are all actors. It's a world where he is born into and doesn't know any better. In essence, he's trapped. Does that sound familiar? Of course it does. That's the story of most people. Trapped in a world and work environment that someone else planned. Trapped in a job where someone else calls the shots. Moves the players in motion at his or her will without regard for your dreams, desires and ambitions. Truman, however, discovers he's trapped and plans his escape. He faces opposition on every side, even from his family and friends. They use fear, threats and distractions to keep him from escaping. Finally, it almost costs him his life. But Truman's will and desire to be free are stronger than the pain of challenge. He walks through the door, through a new reality, and into a new reality as a free man. The question is, will you? Don't allow yourself to feel trapped any longer. You can walk through the door of opportunity and you can become free. Your opportunity is waiting for you today. Chapter 7, Giving. Alan Lloyd McGuinness said, "There is no more noble occupation in the world than to assist another human being and to help someone succeed." One of the greatest laws in the universe is the law of sowing and reaping. To put it another way, what you sow in life, you reap. We see this sowing principle in action all around us. People who live generous, giving lives often receive great rewards. Great friends attract equally great friendships. Those who are lazy, more often than not, live a life that's wasteful and unfulfilled. Since the beginning of creation, farmers have cultivated crops by this same principle. They would never expect a crop which they hadn't planted in the first place. It's the same in our lives. Robert Kiyosaki, in his brilliant book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, states that whatever you want in life, you've got to give it away. Isn't it amazing that the things you give away often return to you? Over the years, I've had many people give me watches. Everything from Rolexes to Tag Heuers to Raymond Wiles. And it all started because one day I gave away a watch to a friend of mine who really wanted the watch that I had. I followed my heart, and the rest resulted in an absolute barrage of watches. You see, our seeds turn into harvests. Opportunities are just like that. They're seeds. Opportunities don't just happen, they're created. We create opportunities when we share them, when we show them, when we give them away. We often think entrepreneurs are only creating wealth for themselves, when in fact, they're creating opportunities for many people. A successful venture creates jobs, opportunities, wealth, opportunities to buy homes, sell homes, to move out, to move in. Too often, people denigrate the entrepreneurial spirit because they think it's all about taking. But opportunity is about giving. As Lee Iacocca said, in the end, all business operations can be reduced to 3 words: people, product, and profits. People come first. And when we create opportunities, we put them first and create an environment for them to be successful. Oftentimes in life, we think that people become a success by themselves. Yet no man or woman will ever be a success by his or herself. We must learn the art of working and networking together. That's how we create opportunities. That's how opportunity works. We work together in synergy. We create synergy and opportunities for other people. We must all be ready for the opportunity when it's given to us. Be ready for the opportunity that's created for you. Someone said, "Be ready when opportunity comes. Luck is the time when preparation and opportunity meet." Former British Prime Minister Benjamin Disraeli put it this way: "The secret of opportunity lies in a man being ready for his opportunity when it comes." Are you ready for today's opportunity? Created opportunities must be viewed as an act of generosity. The Roman author Seneca once said, "Wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for kindness." Friend, take the opportunity that people are giving you and then create opportunities for others. Once an opportunity is created for you, you then go out for someone else. Decide to be a model of opportunity giving. That's how life and success will work. We need to create a network of opportunities and allow them to breed. With one opportunity comes another. John Steinbeck, author of The Grapes of Wrath, in a rather humorous way said, "Ideas are like rabbits. You get a couple, learn how to handle them, and pretty soon you've got a dozen." The same can be said of opportunities. I create an opportunity for another person by introducing them. I create opportunities for people by giving them ideas. I can do it by introducing them to a business. I can create it by being a role model. I can kickstart an opportunity in their lives, and that is the essence of giving. Chapter 8, Change. Faith Popcorn said, "If you thought it yesterday, if you're thinking it today, you won't think it tomorrow." Every opportunity requires change. Change is that ugly word that people do they're best to avoid. I remember once someone saying to me, "Pat, I'm like the Almighty, I changeth not." Well, here's the issue. He's perfect and you aren't. John F. Kennedy said, "Change is a law of life. Those who only look to the past or present are certain to miss the future." The future, my friends, is all about change, and change is about progress. We must change. Our economies must change. Business methods must change. Products, distribution mechanisms, leadership roles, and the way we lead will change and are changing. Our tastes are in constant state of change. Even our body changes almost every single day without us even knowing it. All of this change requires effort. Civil rights activist Jesse Jackson says, "Tears will get you sympathy, sweat will get you change." How true that is. You must work at change. It doesn't just happen. For many years I struggled with a short fuse, a very bad temper. I'd excuse it as part of my leadership temperament or my genetic makeup. At times, I would just have to go away and cool off. Rather than going off the handle, I had to learn to think of the consequences of my temper. The change required my consistent effort. Today I'm better for it. Once I may have reacted. Today I try to act. Our world has changed from an agricultural age to an industrial age, and now to an information age. Yet many people still don't want to change with the times. Bob Dylan said, "The times, they are a-changing." Most people resist change because they don't understand it. Rosa McBeath Cantor of the Harvard Business School has said, "Individuals who will succeed and flourish will be masters of change, adept at reiterating their own and others' activities in untried directions to bring about high levels of achievement." When the local grocery store became the local supermarket, people reacted badly. They were worried. How are we going to cope with the change? Who would want to go to the supermarket and pick their own food off a shelf? Yet now we do it every day without thinking. Now we're seeing the change from supermarket to e-commerce, the ordering of products and services online. If, like me, you're in your 40s, it might be difficult. It may be a very difficult concept, to say the least. But for the average teenager or young adult, it's part of everyday life. Their world is a screen. They live there. The remote control epitomizes their life. That is, change is as easy as the push of a button. Our world is changing. Cell phones just a few years ago were the size of a brick and weighing just as much. Today, they're the size of half your hand, if not smaller. From your cell phone, you can surf the net, send and receive faxes, emails, even photographs, and now movies. Things are changing. Be prepared and go with the flow of change. Globalization is now part of our world. We live and have a global economy. We can't think of just national economies any longer. Even a short 20 years ago, few businesses really needed to pay attention to global markets. Their national market was fine. Today, from your home, even from flying in an aircraft, you can access your own personal business on computer and work towards generating vast amounts of money. This, all by the product of change. Change means better opportunities. One change makes way for the next, giving us the opportunity to grow. In 1928, Harry Cunningham worked in the stockroom for the Kresge Company. Harry was a good thinker, and over the following years, he was promoted. In 1957, as vice president of the company, he began to study the marketplace of the future. He concluded that discount stores would hold a major share market in the future. In 1959, he was appointed president and began the process of change that would see the establishment in 1963 of 40 Kmart stores. By 1977, there were 1,000 Kmart stores throughout the United States. Today, you can shop at Kmart throughout the world. Harry Cunningham saw the opportunity presented by the changing shopping habits of consumers. Rather than rejecting it, he capitalized on it. Someone once said, "If we don't change, we don't grow. If we don't grow, we aren't really living." President Ronald Reagan said of America, "The very key to our success has been our ability, foremost among nations, to preserve our lasting values by making change work for us rather than against us." This is a living example that change can work for you. Chapter 9, Perseverance. J.D. Rockefeller said, "I don't think there is any other quality so essential to success of any kind as the quality of perseverance. It overcomes almost everything, even nature." Many people in life are brilliant starters, but somehow they never finish. Any athlete will tell you it's not how you start the race that counts, but how you finish. Often people get to a flying start in business, excited, full of expectation and full of dreams, but somehow they get sidetracked. It's like beginning to run a marathon, then after a while taking a detour, and rather than getting back on track, staying on that detour until you end up somewhere you never really expected to be. It just doesn't make sense. History is full of great starters who ended up being not so great finishers. Sometimes it's the middle of our life and the middle of our race where we quit or fail to persevere and give up. It's not the beginning that counts. Although the beginning starts you off, you've got to continue to the end to make starting worthwhile. The important, indeed the most valuable thing to do in life is to finish what you intended to do. How many great books will never be read because they were started but were half written? There's never been a successful song half written. The key is to finish what you started. Many people with less talent, less ability, and less enthusiasm achieve more than those with greater gifts because they have a commitment to the end. They will finish what they started. It takes consistency to finish what you've started. Most people reaching the heights of success, whether financial or sporting, have been consistent. To get there, they have not been up and down like yo-yos. They have built their lives consistently on the basics. They consistently try to go further. They consistently invest money. Over time, they do better than average because they're consistent. Just recently, I endeavoured a long run from my hometown in Sydney to a neighbouring city 120 kilometres or 70 plus miles away. I would run with a young man who spent many years training as an athlete. From the very first training run, I tried to keep up with him, but to say the least, I didn't do it too well. The next time, I discovered that if I just ran at my own pace, not shooting out of the starting blocks like a bullet, but steadily running at my own pace, I would finish what I set out to do. You've heard of the old story of the tortoise and the hare. Slow and steady wins the race. Boxing legend Joe Frazier said, "It's the fighter that gets up in the early hours of the morning and does the runs every day. He gets up, takes no shortcuts on the road, because if you take a shortcut on the road, it'll turn up under lights." You've got to be consistent. The dictionary defines persistence as steadily persistence in adhering to a course of action, a belief, a purpose, or a steadfastness. Most people give up just when they're about to achieve success. In the run that I told you about, as I edged closer to the end of that run, which was the equivalent of 3 marathons over a period of 2 days, it was the last few miles and the last hill that was the most difficult. But unless I persevered through it and over that final hill, I would never have felt the exhilaration of knowing I did it. Perseverance can overcome every single force, even the critical tongue of the unsympathetic relative. It can overcome the limitations of a lack of enthusiasm. It can overcome the boundaries in which other people try to fence us in. It can overcome the sense of underachievement we'll struggle with. It's perseverance that sees us break through into a higher level of living. Dennis Waitley and Rennie L. Witt, who have co-authored The Joy of Working, said this of perseverance: "It means giving full concentration and effort to whatever you're doing right now." What is it that you need to persevere at? Keep pounding away until you strike oil. Clothing designer Calvin Klein loved fashion from an early age. For 6 years after graduating from a design course, he struggled to make ends meet. Just as he was considering leaving fashion altogether to work in the grocery business, a friend gave him $10,000 to form Calvin Klein Limited. Less than 10 years later, Klein had won 3 consecutive Coty Awards. None of us know what success awaits if we just be persevering. Every human being goes through periods of discouragement. At some time or other in their life, you are going to want to give up. The key is that you must persevere. Brian Tracy said, courage comes by acting courageously on a day-to-day basis. Henry Ford went bankrupt twice in his first 3 years in the automobile business. 3 of Frank Woolworth's first 5 chain stores failed. Michelangelo laid on his back for 7 years to paint the Sistine Chapel. Hewlett-Packard and Atari rejected innovative computer manufacturer Apple. Friend, we must persevere. You may never become a brilliant history maker, a world-class athlete, or a great inventor like Edison. You may never be famous or infamous like Madonna. But every one of us, if we take the opportunities presented to us with a will to keep on persevering and a determination to succeed, can receive a measure of success that otherwise would have evaded us. There's a brilliant story of a basketball coach attempting to motivate his players to persevere through a difficult season. Halfway through the season, he stood before his team and said, "Did Michael Jordan ever quit?" The team said, "No." "What about the Wright brothers? Did they give up?" "No," said the team. "Did Wayne Gretzky ever quit?" "No," yelled the team. "Did Elmer McAllister quit?" And everybody said, "Who's Elmer McAllister? We never heard of him." The coach said, "Of course you never heard of him. He quit." Fred Pryor said, "One reason we don't attain our goals is we often focus on how far away we are from feeling satisfaction rather than how far we've already come. Most of us achieve so much, yet give up because we don't feel good about where we're at. My friend, don't quit. Helmut Schmidt put it this way: it must be born in the mind that the tragedy of life doesn't lie in not reaching your goal. The tragedy lies in having no goal to reach. It isn't a calamity to die with the dreams unfulfilled, but it's a calamity not to dream. It isn't a disgrace to reach the stars, but it is a disgrace to have no stars to reach for. My friend, you and I must never quit. Opportunity knocks. We must persevere. With opportunities, we've got to aim high, plan great, and then take the ground piece by piece, slow and steady, one step at a time, wins the race, gains the prize. Opportunity knocks. This is the key to the extraordinary life. This has been Pat Mesiti. Have an incredible future.